We are all surrounded by pulsating tiny substances called atoms. The famous physicist June Ye at the National Institute of Standards and Technology, United States, says that the best clocks in the whole world are nothing but atoms. Ye's research focuses on ultra-cold atoms, ultra-cold molecules, and laser-based precision measurement. His group has built record-breaking, very precise experimental optical atomic clocks. He says, if you glance down at your cell phone or computer right now, the time you see has been synced with more than 500 atomic clocks all around the world. That means throwing in an extra leap second every 19 months or so to allow the time taken based on Earth's rotation to catch up with a more precise atomic time. He further says that the ordinary pendulum allowed people to cross the Atlantic. Atomic clocks enabled GPS and the internet. The beauty of this clock is that, as Ye described, give us the chance to peer over a new mountain and see what wildflowers might be on the other side. We are not aware about the tiny changes of time we set in our watches and clothes. Junior says, if you raise your watch a couple of centimeters, the time changes at a very small degree, which can only be detected by modern atomic clocks. Time is a relative thing. Even the time that we take for the truth alters without us looking in the watch. Now I'm going to tell you a true story. On 5th January 2020, more than 50 masked people armed with rods, sticks, and acid attacked the campus of Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, and injured more than 39 students and teachers. Many students received serious injuries. Professors who tried to intervene and protect the students, as well as ambulances carrying injured individuals, were attacked. Eyewitnesses stated that police within the campus did not intervene to stop the mob. After attacking residents of the university campus for 3 hours, the mob escaped None of its members was arrested or detained. As a resident of the Jhelum hostel in JNU, New Delhi, I spent that day in fear. The rioters were knocking on all doors, creating a ruckus. I kept on calling my friends on the phone. They all spoke brokenly. Their voices are still ringing in my ears. I couldn't sleep that night. That sleepless night, a cup of tea slipped from my hands and smashed into pieces on the floor. I then decided to skip tea and stayed for long looking at the smashed teacup. Time leaped out of the clock, and on the floor of my room, it behaved like an animal beaten to death. I witnessed the blood of living time. Shuddering at my feet, it writhed in pain. My nation's time had gone early. My friends, like needleless clocks, were beaten in the streets till they writhed in pain. None of the definitions of time satisfied me. The broken teacup, now on the floor, remembered the hands that had once shaped it. None of these were illusions, but reality as it was witnessed. Can Puranas, Idihasas, or religious make-believe help us construct a nation? Can an inward-looking spiritual being heal these wounds? How is it that those who ardently believe in the Puranas and maintain the sanctity of religion and caste for the nation emerge victorious from whole equations? What do they know about this space and these times we live in? It's not just philosophy or physics that compels us to seek the nature of time, but the very times that we live in. Has a sociality respecting the harmony of human life ever existed in India? Can a politics precipitated by convivial idealism, practical philosophy, and ahimsa ever be possible? Ambedkar observes that Buddha is such a possibility. The spiritually oriented monolithic current of Indian philosophy gains a new awareness during the Buddhist period. The tradition of Vedic or Brahmanic Hinduism in their entirety came within the ambit of power. As a result, no Indian thought was capable of dealing with the sociality of the life around. Perhaps Gautama Buddha was the one who delved into his society to share his thoughts. The mainstream society had no links with the lower caste communities of Buddha's time who were denied education. The upper echelons of Indian society throughout history pulled off the trick of convincing the masses that knowledge can be equated with the scientific pedagogy of power. They were also convinced that in order to gain knowledge of the sciences, a caste mind and caste body were necessary. It was not difficult for the Buddha to confront this social situation. He just had to talk to the people on the street. Miraculous cures or visadrai were not needed before people made in the social outcast. Buddha's lone miracle was to sit next to those on the margins and opening a conversation. The great sutra on the destruction of craving, in Pali it's called Mahasanha Sankhya Sutta. Buddha indicates three marks of existence called Trilakkhana in Pali, which characterize all the phenomena of the existence. They are suffering, impermanence, and non-self. Dukkha, anicca, and anatta. Although the Buddha preached the sutta of impermanence, sabbe sankhara anicca, he never explained or elaborated the modalities of this concept. Scare claims that there is no general Buddhist theory of time accepted by all schools and sects of Buddhism. Vatsiputriya school of Buddhism state that things are impermanent does not mean that they should arise, disappear in one instant of thought. They admitted the existence of a certain degree of duration and motion, and they even believed in the existence of a transmigrating personality. In Pali, it is called Puggala, man without Atma. In contrast, the Mahasankhika, the Mahisasaga, Kashyapiya, and Sarvashtivada and Sautrantika schools held an instantaneous doctrine of instantaneity, refusing to make any kind of distinction in degrees of impermanence. So the Theravadin argued that an instant should be divided in three moments, one for birth, one for duration, and one for cessation. The Sarvashtivadin believed in the existence of four stages: birth, duration, perishing, and cessation. Contrary to these claims, the Sautrantika believed in the existence of just two phases and cessation, birth and cessation. So what I'm trying to tell you, there are different views on impermanence in different Buddhist schools. In the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter 12, Buddha says it would be better for the world ling to regard this body built up of the four elements as his ego rather than the mind. For it is evident that the body may last a year, 2, 3, unto 100 years and more, but that which is called thought, mind, or consciousness is arising continually during day and night as one thing, as passing away as another thing. The Buddha analyzed the mind for the vestige of a soul and declared that only sensations, perceptions, and thought processes and consciousness were there. All these he declares to be impermanent, arising and passing away. With these premises of impermanence, I'm trying to explore something with poetry, editing as a poiesis. The question, how to drink water in a broken cup. So today I take that particular exercise as a test to understand the idea of impermanence. So I will read a poem, and I did a video footage with one of the co-actants in the anicca-Network, and I will show you the editing of that video, how the time works when someone drink water in a broken cup. Brushing the teeth. I'm tired. Enough is enough. Thinking I would kill myself now. I was feeling cotton inside the pillow. Thought I will take a nap before I die. Or maybe I should shake the tin filled with pins before sleeping. Or else I will stroll a little here to there, drink some water, and then sleep. No. I will try brushing my teeth. When I brush my teeth, the garden comes to my mind. When I brush my teeth, the garden comes to my mind. I start wondering what to do to keep the garden intact till evening. That's impossible. I'm not brushing. Till the next morning, if the garden is not gonna stay, why should I brush? What remains is the room, the door of the room, pins. Felt like writing a poem. That's when a spider crawled onto the table. I sat looking at it. The spider looked at a cricket, cricket at a flea, flea at a wasp, wasp at a cockroach, cockroach at a lizard, lizard at the chair, chair at me. We all know that calendar of the world is centered on Christ. Human lifetime could be shrunk into Christ, but a lake, for instance, is a phenomenon that outlives duration in a way that Christocentric time cannot envisage. That's where an isotope replaces Christ. For a lake, the isotope is its clock. A concept used to denote the functioning of isotope is half-life. A radioactive element becomes the clock of the world on the basis of the time it would take to halve. The half-life period of carbon-12 is 5,720 years. For instance, in order to study the prehistory of a lake, it is sufficient to measure the presence of radioactive isotopes deposited in it. It was through such procedures of measurement that man realized that lakes are the museums of geological history. Isolated lakes interred somewhere are precise markers of prehistory. The soil, mud, dust, and organic elements sedimented in the lake over time are accumulated in its base. This floor of a lake is its museum. In the sediment collected in a lake, there are certain constant organic and inorganic elements, especially the skeletons of marine organisms, the shells of microbes and plants, the pollens of plants that remain constant for millennia, and so on. Thus, the sediment collected in a lake is a museum comprising the signatures of the time. The present reflects off the calm surface of a lake, but the sediment collected in its floor hides an unimaginably primordial past. Present on the top, past at the bottom. Inferences from the study of sediment predict how a lake determines the future of the habitat that it encompasses. So a lake can be said to be an anthology of temporal elements. As Jesus Christ with his birth cleaves time in two, a lake bearing the turmoil of all three times upsets the traditional time scale presented by Christ. Just imagine a stone that is not subjected to human creative endeavor, a sheer naked stone, untouched by sculptors. If you mark its transformations due to rain and wind, then the geological logbook where you enter won't be finished in a lifetime. Earth's surface processes that transform stones are so prolonged. Artist Alvar Balasubramaniam says that he performs art to find the marks of the past. A sculpture, music, picture, sound are all traces of the past for him. Through art, one recreates the past. How can one follow the traces of the past from the present? It is easy to make symbolic creations, but recreations of the symbols themselves overcomes the received notions of art and constructs a new methodology. That is when art simultaneously presents fragments of embodied truth as well as scientific nature of outer world. Balasubramanian uses Limestone as a medium for his sculpting also encompasses the secret of the geological flow. The utility of the medium called limestone is linked to the puzzles of its geological occurrence. While Balasubramanian uses a sedimentary rock as his medium, the unknown artist belonged to the 2nd or 3rd century AD uses metamorphic rock to carve the sculpture of a fasting Buddha. Now let's analyze the body of Buddha. This is called orbital margin. This one is maxilla. Third one is trachea. Fourth, this part is called sternocleidomastoid. The fifth one is the external jugular vein. Sixth one is the supraclavicular fossa. Seventh one is the clavicle. This one is brachial plexus. Ninth one is trapezius. 10th one is pectoralis major. 11th one is axilla. Now sternum, costal margin, ribs, deltoid, biceps brachii, superficial extensor muscles of forearm, rectus abdominis. So this is the material map of Buddha's body. And you can watch it. Immediately after the JNU attack in 2000, in January 2020, I met my friend, one of the co-actants of this network, to ask him to perform drinking water in a broken cup. I would like to share the story behind this performance. So I met him outside my hostel and he was reading a book and he was taking rest and he was also tired. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.